So
Um,
let's look at your, let's do the, let's look at
resume.
the resume. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, yesterday we talked about the experience at BDA, and I was having trouble on how to connect with those seniors who I haven't been connected with for almost half a year.
Right. Yep. Right. Yeah, we can talk about that for sure. So what's happening here is, um, okay, so it's for some reason it's still on 2 pages, which
Well, I have some question about the
which
last
is okay.
part, that
Yeah.
is the professional skills, because I first have this professional summary, and
Mhm.
you can see that I have listed the qualifications and the skills I have. So do you think the professional skills at the last part is not necessary now?
Right. So a couple things. So I would recommend, let's see, answering your, let's see, your question. Right. So you would not need to repeat this, right?
Yes.
Yes, you would not need to repeat these things as long as you've covered them somewhere,
Okay.
mostly. So I think, yes, you could remove professional skills from that.
Okay. And
Um,
the language skills is not important to mention. Is that right?
Not particularly. No one cares if you speak Chinese, unfortunately.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay.
It's it's important to me, but it doesn't help you. So again, so the, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the template that I make available for download, but one thing that's important here is to have consistency. So for example, education, you have this format, and then you have this line right here.
Yes.
For professional summary, you would want to also have the
Have
same
the
thing.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I would just go, so just make a note that that's something that you want to fix. Um, and then, as I've said several times in different places, 10-point font is too small. So right now you've got your resume, and it matters because it changes your formatting, it changes your margins. No one's going to read a resume in 10-point format, 10-point font.
Um, well, I have a question because, you can see that in the education part, my undergraduate school has a very long name. So if I change it to the 11 font size, then I would not be able to put it in one line. So, and that would be not, yeah.
Right. So you could simply say Zhongnan University. I mean, maybe something like Zhongnan University of Economics and Law. That would be fine.
Uh,
You wouldn't need to also have finance school, for example. So right now we know that this should all be Times New Roman, and for some reason that did not work, but that's okay. And then it should all be 11-point fonts at least. And I think I made that change yesterday, so I don't know why it's coming back smaller smaller than yesterday. But the the way this, so I would go back and I would reformat this so it's 11-point font. And then what I can do is focus with you on the language of the bullet points, probably leaving the formatting to you to fix. So
mhm.
one thing that's important here that we're just missing and would be a sign that would be a problem is just the lack of consistency in the formatting. So for example, here you have BDA, and I mean, you don't need to, uh, just simply follow the template that I am teaching. You don't need to put cities in italics. So I would
Okay.
not italicize, and I would be consistent. So if you have a company name which is not italicized here, I would not then italicize the company name here.
Okay. Do you think I should italicize the company name or just
I wouldn't italicize anything
okay.
except maybe the title of the job. That would be okay.
Okay. Yeah.
but certainly not the city. I mean, there's no consistency there. And then in terms of
Do you
these,
think the city is not necessary to mention?
you need to have the city or the country that has to be there for sure.
Okay.
It
Okay.
can be
But
just be consistent. If you just want to have Beijing, you could have just Beijing here, and
okay.
that would be okay. Or Beijing, China. Again, this is just simply follow the template that I'm teaching.
Uh, okay.
Um,
It's in the week one video, is that right?
it's the week 2 video on the resume.
Okay. Okay.
And then let's see, consistency would also be, let's see, that looks okay. You would just need to come and fix to make sure things just are consistent. And let's see, and you really only know if you have the formatting right when you PDF the document and see where everything fits. So here, you know, you can, or you don't need to have 10-point font because you could actually come back here and give yourself more space with the bullet points, right? Like these bullet points don't need to be so far indented. You could come back here and put the bullet points
Okay.
back. And there's lots of things you can do before you need to resort to 10-point font. Just lots of ways to save space here that you can take advantage of. So you can play with this. And then, you know, this potentially could be back like that. And then simply bringing the fonts back a little bit. And then,
Okay.
so that's something. So you can play with that. I can send this to you when we're done. And then this is a
Okay.
little bit confusing for me. What's this?
Well, this is the project, like the project I've been working on, and it is a competition project.
Okay. And I guess you're thinking about that in terms of the chronological order.
Yes, the chronological order. So not like the work experience, academic experience, competition experience, not
Okay.
like that.
So I would say work experience here, and then I would make a new, if since these are, since these are important to you,
Okay.
I
Do
would,
you
and
think
now this should be
uh,
moved. Again, this is because I think that I would find that very confusing as a
okay,
recruiter if
okay,
I'm trying to find out what your experience is, and it's a mix between projects and it's just going to be confusing. So, are you from Wuhan?
oh yes, that's right.
Okay, yeah, my wife is from Wuhan.
Wow. So what districts is she from?
Wuchang?
Oh, Wuchang. Wow. Wuchang is a, well, let's say I love the food there, and I live in Hankou, and I always go shopping there.
Yeah, I love the Xiaopin Mao.
Oh yes, that's right. Me too.
Yeah, she lives right by the Liyuan Guangchang.
Oh, that's a good place.
Yeah,
And
that's where I
yeah,
go.
there are many metro links there. The 2号线, 4号线.
Yeah, I didn't. I was in Wuhan in May and June, and of this summer, and I did not. I don't think I left Wuchang one time. I don't think I went. I was just basically, you know, going to Donghu every day.
Oh,
So, so this is what I would. So I would come here and I would make a new section,
okay. And what
call
would
that
you uh-huh.
project experience, or
Okay.
play with it. You can play with, you know, play with this to see what works. And then something like this, and then you're gonna have to, and I'm not even sure this project experience is that important. I mean, if it's relevant, you can keep it in there. I'm not sure, um, I'm just not sure how relevant it is, because again, you want to put this all on one page.
Yes.
And, it's just we have to go back and play with, and, you know, this is okay. LinkedIn is okay to have, and I mean, it's not that important to have your LinkedIn profile on the
Okay.
resume. They just need to have they basically just need to have um, your phone number and email. They're not gonna check your LinkedIn profile
Okay.
just from the resume anyway. You don't, I mean, and you could have this, you could take out the address if you need to. Um,
Well,
yeah,
do you think I can make the address, the email, and the phone number in the same line so that I can free
yes,
out a line? Yeah.
yes, yeah. And again, I would follow my guidance on the things that are bold. Like I would not, you don't need to make all of these things. You don't need to make St. Louis bold. And let's see, you don't need, you can just leave it like that.
Um, uh, okay.
I would
So
not, I
don't.
would not just like run around and just make things bold because you think they're important. Like I would seriously be very conservative in terms of things that you're bolding and not bolding, and just be very, very conservative because, a company's not going to make bold certain numbers in their financial report just because they like them. So you should treat your resume the same way. And again, be careful about the formatting of these things, the spacing. Um, this is 11-point font. Let's see here. Still, it's, and some of this, I mean, you work there for 1 month or two. You don't need to have 4 bullet points for an internship either. So,
So you think which one I should not mention?
well, I mean, if you're trying to become an investments person, then you want to focus on the investments aspects of what you did. If you're trying to be a business analyst, then I would say you don't need as many interpreted construction investment growth by multiple linear regression models.
Okay.
I don't know, processed raw data for for and again, this is you need to, I don't know, did you watch my video?
Not the week two, because I follow the chronologic.
Yeah, I asked you. Okay, so you didn't do what I was asking you to do, and I can tell.
Oh,
So I told you not to watch week 1 and welcome week. I asked you to only watch
oh,
and I don't know how I could have been, I was extremely, extremely clear about, I'm really just concerned about that because it's wasting your time. Not, I mean,
yeah.
you have a job
Sorry,
fair
sorry
coming
for
up,
that.
right? And what's not important is I've told you very clearly what's not important and then what is important. And so, yeah, just keep in mind. I mean, like I would listen very closely, try to listen very closely to what I'm saying because I'm trying to really save you time.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. Um, okay. So yeah, again, results and the reason why that's important is because now we can't have a conversation based on the understanding from the training. So I have to say it from the very beginning, and the benefit to you is not the same. So whenever you're making a resume, you need to follow something called the results by action format. So if we go results, so if we go to Um, and I just have a few minutes left and then I gotta go. So
Mm.
you can go ahead and just watch that resume video and use your time wisely. The welcome week will not help you with the job fair. So results, okay, so the bullet point for any should be results, whatever those are, and it could be generated monthly dashboards and pitch books, if that's, you know, the best you could do, right? By, and then action taken, which in this case might be processing.
By processing. Or do you think I should keep each bullet point within one line?
Not always. Raw data for clients using SQL and VBA. Now, this would be an example of a proper format for a bullet point. It always has to be results by action taken. And what the Career Center will tell you is that some are getting better, like the Brown School at WashU is getting better at this. They'll tell you to include the results. But this is basically what the format has to be for every bullet point. And if it's not, then it's not an acceptable bullet point. And that's why it's important to go back and do research and find a way to talk to somebody at BDA. Find the old files from your time at BDA and your old cell phone, because this is just, you know, as you will learn in your professional life, it's very important to retain copies of work that you previously did so that in the future, you can draw back on that and review your experience and remember the things that you did. And that's, you know, that's very important. So no big deal if you don't have it today. But so if we go in here and then create this bullet point, it's going to be like this. Results by action taken. So monthly dashboards and pitch books. Okay, is that, if that's true, for what industry, for pitch books, for how many, you know, results. So this result might be supported pitch books. So let's like pitch books. Okay, for what? So supported. You know, can you remember, was it, you know, what kind of pitch books? Was it for supported monthly supported and senior bankers to generate with, let's see, supported junior bankers, supported, and you, I mean, it could simply just be, the example could be created, monthly dashboards and pitch books by, that's okay. But if there was something specific, like for, you know, for representing, you know, 200 million in transaction value potentially, in potential transaction value. For example, having some sort of metric is kind of important. If you can put that in there, that would be helpful. Some sort of number. There's no numbers here for this entire work experience. There's 没有度量化 except for this one number. So these are not very strong. You can find a better way to say that somehow. Developed web crawler. Why? What was the result? You know, what was the result by developing the web crawler? You know, how did that help the bankers? Did you increase the efficiency 10% of
yes,
something, right? This is all, so again, this is result by, and then this thing that you did here called interpreting construction and stata. So again, that's why having, and then this is probably the least important, so you could reduce that. And then you could maybe pick one of these or combine them. because, um, you know, let's see here, created monthly dashboards and value. I mean, if you created monthly dashboards and pitch books here, that's probably similar here. So, you know, it's not the same thing, but VBA, but if the point is, you know, you can just say stata up here probably.
Okay.
Because that first bullet point probably was also related to construction investment growth. I mean, maybe you did, you know, something, maybe you're saying
There was some overlap.
yeah, you're probably
Okay.
saying the same thing twice. So, and then again, if you worked for, you know, why would you have 4 bullet points for just a summer internship? That doesn't seem efficient.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
let's see, estimated exposure of our capital, 50 capital flows for business background, education, transcription, production. Again, these are all, you know, I would challenge you to, you know, try to get back in touch with people at Bank of China, because all of these are the, when you're an intern, all of these are the actions you took, but there's no result. And so that's why, and it's you're right, you're not at fault. There's nothing wrong with you. Usually when you're interning, no one tells you why you're doing what you are doing. No one, unless you're somehow very lucky to think, to know to think about it, usually you don't ever know. And so, you know, who can you talk to find out, or what numbers, what old records from your old computers can you find, old emails, to find out why you were doing what you were doing and how that helped this company, if possible. And then this is, you know, this is better because we built that yesterday. You might not be able to, you know.
Yeah, it's sometimes I find it difficult to quantify the result. Yeah,
Yep.
because sometimes I just provided some assistance, but I don't think that much contributes to the overall result.
Well, that's the big mistake that everyone makes, is they think that their contribution is so small. And what I always remind people is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you were just pouring coffee for somebody. If you were pouring coffee for somebody, and by doing so, you were able to help them close a deal, that is a contribution that you made. And it's, if you were just making photocopies for the bank, but by making your photocopies, you help them to contribute to the closing of a deal, that's also important. And so you need to think about the big picture and realize that you did participate in through contributing, even if it was in a small way. And so just because you think your contribution wasn't large is not a reason to give up trying to find out what the contribution might have been or what the company actually did. So let me send this resume back to you. I think so for the job fair. Let's see here.
Do you think I should also bring my cover letter there at the job fair, or just the resume and the name card?
Probably just the resume and the name card. I don't. The cover letter, I mean, you can bring a cover letter, but it's hard to write a cover letter when you don't know what the job is.
Yes, yes, and I think it may be very strange. Yeah, because
I don't think that's necessary. Yeah, I think you can just go with the resume and ask them if they're taking resumes. They might not even be taking, but so before you put a resume in their hand, you can ask them nicely, are you
taking
accepting,
resumes today.
yeah, are you accepting resumes today? Or, you know, and if they're not, then you don't bring it out of your folder. So don't walk around with resumes in your hand just trying to put them in everyone's face. You're going to see a lot of your classmates actually walking around with resumes in their hand trying to give them to somebody.
Oh,
That's
it's
not,
like flyers.
that's not, I mean, you might as well just go onto the street and and pass out flyers.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So, so the resume, let's see here. The resume is it's looking good. You're making progress on it. You've got some, some challenging questions, no doubt. I mean, it's not easy to really understand, how you contributed to BDA or Bank of China, because one, they maybe never told you. Number two, it might have been a long time ago.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
but
And can you please give me an example of how to break the ice if I haven't been talking with them for perhaps longer than half a year? So how can I
yeah,
start a conversation and let them tell me what is the result? Because
yeah.
they may even not very clearly remember.
Yeah, well, ask them if you can have a call with them. Hey, I recently, um, I recently started at Washington University here in St. Louis. I'd like to um, I'd like to help you any way that I can while I'm a student here, including helping you with possible recruiting activities, if that would be helpful. Would you have time to have a short call with me in the next few days so I can share with you an update about my status?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. You can ask, what would be helpful to them? I don't know. But I think you should try to have a phone call with them if possible.
Okay.
And also, you can say, hey, I'm now here at Washington University in St. Louis, studying business analytics.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate our time together at Bank of China, and wanted to um, ask if there's anything I could do to help you. I do have a couple of questions about my past experience at Bank of China or whatever location. Would you have time to have a short call in the next few days about, you know, would you have time to have a call with me in the next few days, a brief call,
Mm-hmm.
something like this, and then um, and see if they can do it. And um, I mean, you can only try, right? We don't know, why would you, there's the situation is kind of not the best. Like having a remote internship, first of all, is not a very good situation. And then, not talking to someone for 6 months, it makes it harder, right? If you don't stay in touch with
Yes.
somebody, it just makes it harder. So just good to stay in touch with people as often as possible, really, is the long-term lesson there, because then it's easy to get on the phone with them again and have a conversation. So try to get them on a call. Try not to be too specific. If something about how you'd like their help is okay, but try to see if they can get on a call. And then when you're on the call, you can talk about how you're building your resume and how you're trying to focus on the results that you might have had. Now that's one way. Now, the Bank of China is a publicly listed company, so you can talk about. I don't know if you can see, where the details about Bank of China's Wuhan branch where you probably work. This is probably like a zhihang or something like fenhang, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, you're not going to know exactly what the results of that bank are, but you can go to Bank of China's financial statements, which are publicly listed, and you can find out what their performance was during this quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can
Yes.
read about that. So it's possible to get some information about how they performed in that quarter, and you can say, how did their credit, supported 5% improvement in in the certain credit ratio, right, by extracting capital flows. You can point to big results that you supported overall for the company, even if you were just working at the Wuhan branch doing this specific thing, you were still supporting an overall company result that you could even refer to as it's written in the financial report, because it's true that you were supporting that kind of
Yeah.
help. Although it does seem like a stretch. I know it will seem a little bit kwajang to say that, but it's true. I mean, you were supporting these results. If you can find some good results about the credit situation, for example, of Bank of China during that quarter, the second quarter or the third quarter of 2018, you can also talk about those results as well. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, what are, completed 26 walkthrough tests, checking articulations between procurements. I mean, I don't even know what this means. I mean, this kind of English doesn't even make any sense. So, it doesn't, I would go back and find out really what you're trying to say there, because no one really knows what it means to check articulations between procurements.
Just like to check if those transactions are valid and are truly as is stated.
Okay, so you can say checking the validity of transactions, right?
Okay.
But just be careful about that, using like translation software, because that doesn't mean anything.
Do you think the walkthrough test makes sense?
It can. It's not very clear what that means. What a walkthrough test is. A walkthrough test, you could just simply say, supported the approval of $50 million in loans by verifying the accounts, by verifying the validity, by verifying the accuracy of certain transactions, or supported some kind of result. We're not sure what that would be. Sometimes you can just estimate. If you remember, I think that deal was about 5 million RMB. Well, you can say, reported, supported, approximately $1 million in loans, supported the approval of approximately $1 million in loans by doing X, Y, and Z. So sometimes, ideally, you can talk to whoever your boss was, and you can ask about just what do you remember about the things that you worked on, just kind of at a high level. Hey, do you remember what I worked on there by chance? It would be helpful for me to understand what you were doing, what, if they remember, and they may not, which is okay. But when you're preparing bank, this is hard stuff. I'm not telling you this is easy, but when you're talking about this thing that you did, 58 bank confirmation requests, I mean, okay, well, I know you're trying to find a number there, so you're picking these numbers. What's even more interesting is numbers like dollar amounts are more interesting than the number of requests. This is really kind of like, again, this is still within the action taken area. Can we try to find any results by the numbers, any results? So, and then some of this stuff just doesn't need to be probably on your resume. Like some of this, in order to just save space, you're going to have to remove something from your resume just because it's not, and then move some of the bullet points around still, but keep everything in the 11-point font for sure.
11.5 or just 11?
11 point. 11 point, PT,
Okay.
point. Yeah, 11-point font is important. Okay. Yeah, cool. Well, good progress so far, okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.